Hi, everybody. Before we get to another great interview, the Too Opinionated podcast could really use your help. And it's easy, it's free. IMDb, which is the entertainment database, imdb.com, named us a top 100 podcast. We came in at number 82. That's a big deal because there's 15 million podcasts and growing. So to be named to anybody's top 100 list, pretty big deal for us. And the way you can help is to go to imdb.com, look up the Too Opinionated podcast, and that's it. Just bringing our page up. That traffic really helps us out. Our YouTube channel is MeisterCon Pod. All we ask is that you subscribe. It's also free, but that really helps us to attract these amazing guests that we keep bringing on the program. And that's it. Two easy ways for you to support us, and we would really appreciate the help. Now let's get to that interview. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Too Opinionated. I am really excited today. I've got writer-director Shannon Alexander and one of the stars of his new documentary, Ashley Roland-White, with me. So welcome to you both.
Thank you, Mike.
So we got to talk about this documentary, but before we do, let me get you to introduce. So Shannon, I was a fan of your, I think it was your last documentary. It was like a dating documentary.
Yes.
I thought it was really great, but talk a little bit about your background, what got you into the entertainment business, and why did you settle on this new documentary?
I had begun making short documentaries actually in college.
Yeah.
And I have always worked with non-actors from the get-go, like as a kid with friends and family.
Right.
And we had made shorts and documentaries, and it progressed from there. I studied screenwriting at RMIT, which is a college in Melbourne in Australia.
Yeah.
And that was to really understand the craft of storytelling, with the view of wanting to direct my own work later on, and had made some low budget features and documentaries. Documentaries are easy. Having moved to New York, they're easier to, I'm not saying that they're easy, but they're easier to produce than a fully fledged feature with resources. And if you want to do a period piece or whatever, that's going to be costly. With documentaries, I like
When
the
you
freedom
don't need
where
a
you can
ton of
just,
special effects with documentaries.
yeah, it's immediate.
Yeah.
And the special effects in its coming weren't special effects. They actually really occurred in camera. Nothing was added. Everything that we captured, all the shadows and the audio and everything, was real in camera. Talking about special effects, it's important to know that this is a documentary as well. Ashley is a real person, as you can see. And it's a real family. Her kids exist. She's got 5 kids. 3 of them are in the documentary. Little Alexis is just running by as we speak.
See, you could have had me there because you could have went, oh, what are you talking about? There's nobody beside me.
That would have been something. I should have went with that. Damn
it. Well, Shannon, so at any point growing up, was there a desire to be in front of the camera, or have
no,
you?
I have not had the acting bug though, Mike. Not really.
Yeah, that's what
I always liked cameras.
Yeah, you're more of the behind the scenes type of person.
Yeah, I've always loved photography and cameras, and it kind of sprung from there, actually.
Well, yeah, and I know you kind of started as a cinematographer, which I'm sure helps a ton with directing.
Yeah, definitely, absolutely. I mean, it's a visual medium. Writing scripts is definitely the hardest part for me in terms of narrative, but in documentaries, it's so immediate. You can go out with a camera and you can shoot as long as you find the most interesting subjects, which I did in this case with Ashley and the kids.
Well, yeah, so
unplanned.
Let's talk about that, Ashley. If you could introduce yourself, give us a little background on yourself.
Well, of course, you guys know my name. I'm Ashley Roland-White. I originally seen the casting about sleep paralysis in 2022 by Shannon, and I do suffer from sleep paralysis. But
that's so terrifying. I think.
I know, right? It really is. So I was eager to talk about that. But in the midst of trying to talk about that, when we first started filming, I guess the spirits in my house just didn't like Shannon. They would cut the lights off. They would throw things.
Really?
They were just making themselves known. So I think we had no choice at that point to address it, and that's where it led kind of from there.
So I'll give you before we get into too much of the documentary, I'll give you the question that I'm sure everybody's going to ask. Why are you still in that house?
To be honest, because over time, I think I've been kind of knew this, but was running from it. It's me. Wherever I go, this happens. It's just that in this home, I think it's more prevalent because years ago there was like black magic done in this apartment. Back in those times, they would have like little parties where they used Ouija board because I actually believe they didn't think it was that serious. It wasn't anything real. They were just, doing something, and that
Playing around.
actually exactly, and it led to something else. But to be honest, I travel a lot. I think that's how I'm able to still do it because I'm not here actually all the time. So I think that helps. But I think no matter where I go, this happens anyway. So
Well, I mean, to me, that sounds like, and I've had conversations with other people that have similar experiences. It sounds
yeah.
like you're either one, you're just open to it, so
Mm-hmm.
you're seeing things that maybe other people don't necessarily see, or it's not that you're necessarily open to it, but something about you is attracting paranormal activity.
That's what I think. This has been happening since I was 11. So even if I try to ignore what I see, it's still there. And at some points it becomes hard to ignore. So at that moment, I was just like, you know what? All this weird stuff is happening. I have to, let this guy know that okay, this is normal in my house. I see spirits. I have them. They're around all the time. Nothing to really be afraid of. This is what I'm telling him. But in my own mind, not putting two and two together, like if this is someone who doesn't normally go through this, that can be a little different.
Yeah,
And we showed that they follow Ashley around. There was the scene at the hotel, and we have taken some of the scenes outside of the apartment and the
Hmm.
apartment complex to show that they do follow Ashley, in fact. And Ashley first started experiencing them at her home in upstate New York from the beginning.
Yeah.
She was
well,
not always with this.
so Shan, you were there though to film for a different reason, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then I met the kids. I met the family, little Javier and Selena and Alexis. And when Javier started talking about his experience and he's going through his fear of these things, I was like really taken aback when you've got this 7-year-old talking about thinking he's going to die and these demons want him. And I was like, wow, okay,
That's terrifying.
let's go down this track and investigate a little bit further. Going in with a healthy level of skepticism, of course, but I still believed them from the get go.
Yeah.
It's very hard for kids to lie in such a sophisticated way, and the way he was responding to questions, I just thought, no, I think he's actually really
No, if
experiencing.
I like I would be a little skeptical until someone
Yeah.
younger like that told me that, and then I'd be like, oh.
Yeah, and then the
Hard
first
believing
instances
at that
of
point.
capturing these shadows down this hallway that the kids are always talking about, where they're seeing these figures. They actually talked about this hallway in the house, which is just over here, by the way. But then we captured some odd shadows and figures running through the frame. That was it really backed up the kids' testimonies.
So
Yeah.
you were able to actually capture some activity.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, on camera. It's all in camera. Like I said, we captured it visually, and with sounds through EVP devices and through my camera and microphone. We captured both.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's amazing. So the documentary is called "It's Coming," and it's out like tomorrow, right?
Yes, the 12th.
Yeah.
Amazing. I mean, is it going to be like? Is it everywhere or is it
Yeah, everywhere tomorrow. On the 12th of November, it'll be available wide for people to see.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm excited to see it. Excited to sit down
Absolutely.
and check it out. I'm a chicken though, so I won't be watching alone. I'll make sure I
Yeah, I
have
mean,
a group.
it's not like horror documentary where there's decapitations and blood flowing down hallways and things like that. It's more subtle. It's a creepy story about a family that's afflicted by spirits. It's a portrait of a family more than anything else. Like, I don't want people going and thinking they're seeing a killer shark or
Right.
a maniac with a chainsaw or anything.
Yeah, I think real life can actually be more
Yes.
horrifying than
Yeah,
I
I
think with the film you'll get to see what I go through. It was quite validating because everything that other people see as shadows, I can see as full bodies. So when the camera was actually picking up what I was actually seeing, it was kind of validating to me, like, okay, people can see I'm not crazy. They can see exactly what I'm talking about here.
So you said that these type of experiences started when you were 11. Do you remember the first thing that happened?
Yes, I do. I was pulled out of my bed by one of these entities when I was 11. I know I was seeing them before then, but it was just put it to the side, like, okay, whatever, just watching too much TV. But when that happened, that means it was trying to get my attention. So I then knew and just accepted, okay, I can see these things. And that's when the first communication between me and some of these entities started. I think as I got older, it just got more pronounced. I would definitely say.
Well, so when that happens, like when you're pulled out of the bed, do you feel threatened, or is it more okay? This is something I need to pay attention to?
I think it was a mixture of feeling threatened, but the natural person that I am, I'm curious, so I wanted to know why. Because I thought I don't think anything would pull me out of bed unless it really wanted me to know, or there was something I was supposed to, a path to follow, or something I needed to see. So I think I just took it more serious at 11, but it definitely got started around the time of being 11.
Yeah, that's so young. So, but I've
It is.
always heard that a lot of times things happen when you get close to your teenage years.
Yes.
Seems like, people that are sensitive to stuff, that it seems to escalate around that time.
Well, Ashley's youngest, Alexis, who's 6 now, she had started seeing things at like 3, right?
Yeah,
Really?
around 3. And these things that they say they see, especially with Javier, most of the time, me and him can see the same entities. That's where it gets a little weird. He'll come and get me and say, "Okay, I'm not going to tell you what I see, but do you see someone standing in the living room?" And I'll describe, and vice versa. And we see the same people a lot of time at the same time.
That's so amazing. And also a little terrifying, but
It is.
yeah,
It
I
is.
don't think I'd like that. But I'm guessing you've been dealing with it now for several years. It's mostly benign? Is it mostly more of an annoyance at this point, or is it still unsettling?
Um, I would say more annoying at certain points. Because just like any other person, some days I'm not in the mood for. I'm already having, a bad day, and now, I have to deal with, a spirit that's just standing there and won't say something. Some of them actually do say something, and those are less annoying because at least you're telling me what you're here for. You're getting straight to the point. But I'll have ones that'll just throw things in the house, make guests feel uncomfortable. That turns into a word battle.
Well, if
And then
they
some,
if they
yeah.
if they communicate with you, what kind of things are they saying?
Well, there's been times where they wanted a family member to get a message, and I've done that. They wanted things to be known about their death that wasn't known until they told me, and I could give the message. I've done that, and that's an odd feeling to try to contact somebody you've never met. But once again, it was very validating because I would get in contact with random people and describe their loved ones, what they look like, and give them the message, and those people would know that, okay, this girl is definitely different than other people. That's a good feeling though.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that is pretty good, because then you're at that point you're helping.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes. So it's like
that's good.
it's catch 22 with this thing, but I do want to make it clear there are definitely times where it's still horrifying.
I'm sure.
Very.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, nobody wants to think that somebody's watching them.
Yeah.
That's an
That's a
uneasy
good
feeling
point.
anyway. And if you're
Do
feeling
we
that
feel
way
like
all
being
the
watched?
time,
I'm glad you said that because I think that to myself all the time. I don't think it's something you could ever get used to. I would never say, "Oh, I'm completely comfortable with knowing." No, I'm not. There's times where I also just want to be alone, and then I'm looking at a woman in my house that I've
Oh,
never seen before. So
yeah,
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 very
it's scary.
uncomfortable at times.
So Shannon, talk about the documentary a little bit. What exactly are you showing? How did you start it? Talk a little bit about it.
yeah, as I said, it happened quite randomly. I didn't know exactly what we were capturing. A lot of what is featured in the film we discovered after the fact in the edit, because a lot of times you really just don't know what you're getting, especially with documentaries. I mean, we stuck to it. It took 6, 7, 8 months to film the entire thing. We spent a lot of time together. I didn't even know how it would eventuate and what it would end up becoming, but in the end, it did seem to have a full-on narrative arc to it, and
Yeah,
we really found the core of the story being this mother trying to protect her children from being inundated with the things that she had experienced as a kid and trying to prevent that from going bad, especially with Javier at the time, who was dealing with something that seemed to be kind of nefarious.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, really? So see, that's scary. Because one thing
Yeah.
for you to be dealing with it, but for a child to be dealing with it, that's pretty
Yeah, it was
scary.
almost like watching a playback of my life, except um I was trying to stop him from getting. I didn't want him to get too comfortable with engaging with these things like
Yeah.
I have, because there's not just the scary side, there's not just the side of ignoring it, there's the side of you have days of depression. I started to realize that there would be some days I just sit in the dark and be comfortable with it. I was getting too caught up in speaking to some of these entities that weren't necessarily good, and I was
And they
like,
feed on that.
yeah. So I was like, if I can prevent him by interfering every time he's trying to have a conversation with one of these things, maybe that will avoid some of that for him later on in life.
Well, I think it's interesting that it's not based in your location. It's more just around you. So leaving
Yes.
the house doesn't really help.
No, not all the time, but sometimes just getting away from here, because if when you live somewhere, you're here all the time. So there are certain entities that would just that they're just here all the time that I recognize from seeing repeatedly. And sometimes when I leave, I don't see those ones that make me feel so
When you
uncomfortable.
go to other places, do you encounter other situations different from what you get at home?
I would say yes. When I'm in, for instance, I was just in a hotel for a week. I would see spirits that were just lost.
Yeah.
I've never seen them before. Some of them don't talk, but some of them do. But I just knew it wasn't this. It's not the same ones that I see at home all the time, because there are certain ones that I definitely see all the time, and it's the same story, same uncomfortableness. But some of these ones that I see when I'm not at home, they just simply want help or want to talk or want to get a message across. I get more of that when I travel than when I'm at home.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so fascinating. That's
Yeah.
I think that's really interesting. So how do you wrap up the documentary? Because I'm guessing that you're not like correcting this ability. It's still there. You've still got contact with paranormal activity. So how did the documentary kind of wrap up?
You have to see it for yourself. It's kind
Yeah,
of a cliffhanger.
I take
It's a
it.
little bit disturbing.
Yeah, I'm learning how to navigate with it more. I guess more accepting, but you'll definitely see there were definitely a lot of points where you could tell even filming became hard because they were just doing weird things.
Took a lot of out of you.
And remember, I can see these things, so I'm trying to ignore these things while I'm speaking, while he's recording, and they would just get in the way. And I think you can see the frustration of all that.
They didn't want to have anything to do with me, though. I actually would say that sometimes they follow you home and they have gripes or whatever. But I mean, I was like completely
I think I
free of
would
any of
stop
that.
that sometime though, because
Maybe
I could
I mean,
communicate with them and tell them like,
I didn't see
he
anything.
seems like a good one. Just leave him alone. If you want to keep bothering me, you've already been bothering me.
It was
So
only when I came to the house
not
did I
here.
see these odd occurrences,
Yeah.
not in my personal life.
Well, yeah. So talk about that a little bit, Shannon. How is what you're seeing different from what Ashley sees?
Well, I heard everything when we were discussing. I mean, I would hear things and I would see certain things, odd things, like for instance, the camera, the light stand that the boom mic was on was actually right in this very room with the window shut. There was no gust of wind or whatever. This is a heavy duty stand. I saw that almost try to tip over and attack Ashley in a way, which was weird. This is a secure, heavy light stand
Yeah.
that
So
kind of
somebody's tilting it
moved
or
towards
pushing
her
it.
when she was talking about the kids.
It's when I'm talking about the entities that some of them don't like it. At the moment I was talking, it was almost like it pushed it at me to shut me up because it was like this close from actually hitting me. And I think that's one of the points where I was like, okay, you want a war, so I'm gonna tell everyone now that I can about what's going on here.
Yeah.
And I was kind of open in the beginning to some of it being coincidence and again, healthy skepticism, but there was just such a combination of all these oddities that I thought, and backed up with what the kids were saying and Ashley, I just thought that
I'm
it
really
had to be
interested
something
to
more than
see the
that, especially
documentary.
my, yeah, absolutely.
Well, because
But then,
most like you watch these paranormal shows or the different investigators that you have out there, and most of the time they don't really find anything. You know, a few will come into some strange situations they can't explain, but most time they don't find anything. But you're in a situation where you've got all kinds of stuff going on.
And a lot of what we found in the footage was after the effect, after the fact. In the edit, when I'm trawling through footage, because I cut the film, and I'm looking for all these little movements and shadows and things like that, that I discovered, which is, to me, it was really extraordinary to discover all these things. Like
Yeah.
people might look at this and, oh, it's a shadow, this and that, but I believe it's more than that. Like I said, with the light stand situation, with the sounds, the combination of everything, and what they were all saying, it added up to something.
It
He
had
would
to be
actually
like
call
if
me
you,
too. He would actually call. He
Mhm.
would actually call me when he's seen these things.
I
Because
discovered this.
I think he remembered
Heard
me
that.
saying, because while we're filming, I'm like, okay, there's a person there. I see another person over here, but when he went back and actually could see a couple things, it was like
ah,
I'm used to that feeling of watching other people finally catch on to what I'm seeing. So I don't think you ever get used to that either.
There's a
no.
lot of intense scenes.
Well, it's to me, if I was going through the film, it would be very exciting, but also I'd be like, oh, it scared me
Sometimes
a
we
little
heard
bit.
things live though.
Yeah,
At the moment, like with the hotel scene, that was kind of strange.
yeah.
With what we were hearing, especially outside when she just happened to be doing these experiments, that was kind of
Well,
odd.
like what? Give me an example of something you
Well,
heard.
gunshots, for example, when she was
Really?
dabbling with a Ouija board. Now I know
Hmm.
she's not supposed to do this, she's not supposed to do this, but do that. But it was to find answers. She felt like she really needed to find
Yeah.
answers as to what was going on, especially with little Javier, the 7-year-old child. And then there was a lot of there's like an odd cacophony outside this hotel, right at the same moment when we were discussing things.
And there was
There
nobody
was
outside. There was
screaming,
no one there.
gunshots. There was a
Yeah,
lot.
that's weird.
Bleeding nose at that time, and there
Yeah,
was
when my
kids.
nose bleeds, I kind of know that it's getting. Um, to be honest, what I think is happening when I get those nosebleeds and you hear things and then you look and there's no one there, I think it's realm shifting. So I think just because he was with me, he was able to probably shift with me without thinking it was that. But I think that's exactly what it is because that happens to me a lot.
It just brought a whole lot of bad energy at that
Yeah.
moment.
Well, I mean, to me, is there an entity there that's trying to show you how they died or something
That
like
was a
that?
kid,
That's why
wasn't
you heard the gunshots.
Well, yeah, in that moment, there was one child there, and there was one adult that I could see there, and it seemed like the adult was trying to maybe keep the kid quiet about something. But I initially, the feeling I got and the thought I got was like maybe like you said, like something happened, and it involved gunshots.
Yeah,
But there was definitely nobody in real time. There was nothing there because remember, any gunshots, you're gonna have cops that follow after that. A bunch of other sounds that
that's
should
right. Yeah,
coincide.
That's
you
the
have
thing. I don't think
gunshots,
it
it's going to
happened.
create some
I
activity.
It
Yeah, I
didn't
don't
really
think it
happen,
happened
but
in
it
our
happened.
realm. Yeah.
It's yeah, it's unfathomable. Like it happened, but it didn't. Alternate
How are
parallel
the kids
realities or something.
handling
I'm
the
not sure.
whole situation with
Say again.
how are the kids handling the documentary? Are they excited about it or do they
I
care
don't
about
think they really grasp
it?
that,
Because they're
it's
pretty
a
young still.
yeah, that it's a people around the world can see. I don't think they really grasp all that. I think
Yeah.
kids are just kids. They know about it. The only weird thing is that I see Javier and Alexis definitely becoming more content, more used to it's normal for them to see these entities and then this is all normal to them because in a way I didn't want that for them to get used to this, but I guess it's like me, if you have this ability there's nothing you can do, you can't shut it off. So yeah.
Was there ever anybody else in your family that had that? Somebody
um
going back a generation or so?
i do have I do have family members that are definitely sensitive,
Yeah.
to, like they'll have dreams before something happens and it's exactly how they said, but not as pronounced as I am.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm amazed and good for you for being able to handle it and talk about it and I'd be just freaking out all the time.
You might get used to it too, though.
I don't know. I mean, normally you get used to about anything.
That anything you have to get used to. That's what I think
I
people
agree.
don't realize is when you're kind of forced to put up with something you can't
You
shut on or
adapt.
off, you will. You definitely will.
Yeah, yeah. What's give me something that happened during filming that caught you off guard? Something different that you don't normally
Well,
experience.
there's a really intense scene at the end with Krista Flora, the ex-NYPD
Oh,
officer who's a Christian demonologist. Actually knew something that there's no way she should have known in that moment, and was really took Chris off off guard. And you can see him; he's like off kilter. He's kind of trying to process what was said in relation to another case that he had worked on, and Ashley got a message. And then right after that, his previous client had not really had any activity for the longest time, but these are intelligent beings, so to speak, and they communicate. And Chris had gotten a call right after that interview, not interview, that moment with Ashley, from the previous client saying that activity had just sparked up, and it had been dormant for months. And Ashley got a message, and then he got a message from his client. Ashley didn't know who Chris's client was, just some person
No,
sitting on
that was
outer state.
actually the day of filming that I just met Chris for the first time ever in life. But when the entity was actually standing right next to me, I tried to ignore it for a while, but when they tell me to say something to a person, eventually I do, and normally I'm right on target. So yeah.
yeah. Well, that would have me convinced. If you told, I'd be
It's
like, okay,
interesting.
yeah, she's legit. So I know the film, the documentary comes out tomorrow. I think you've got a website.
It's coming film.
It's
It's coming film is
comingfilm.com.
the social handles, and it's comingfilm.com. Yeah.
Yeah, very
It's
good. Very good. Because I know a lot of people are going to be really interested in this. I have to take you some pictures because we'll bring a bunch of the fam. We can hold about 20 in the studio. So we'll bring as many as we can and then have a little group showing. Check it out.
Oh, that'd be
I'll have
great.
to send you some
check it
pictures
out.
of that. Because
Yeah.
yeah, we're as a family, we're kind of chickens, so it should be interesting.
So with all you together,
You'll be okay. You can do it. I can tell.
yeah. Look, there's no like scary jump scares with things like that, and like I said, it's not
It's just a lot of
hardcore horror.
reality that you're gonna see where you're like, oh
Well, I
wow,
think
you
that's
can't
what's
even.
creepy about it, though. It's
Yeah.
not the kind of the movie type of
Yeah.
experience that you're having. It's something that I feel like could actually be occurring. That would
Uh-huh.
be
Real life is
that's
scary.
very believable to me, and that makes it scary.
It made me realize how weird my life kind of is with this ability because when I watched it back myself, I'm like,
Mhm.
wow, if this was somebody else, I'd be saying, wow, they're dealing with a lot. So
They're
you'll
dealing
get to
with a
see
lot.
that.
Well, and that was going to be my question, Shannon. Was
Mm.
did you bring any other experts in to try to do some work? And it sounds like you did.
I mean, look, we did try to keep it impartial. We had Chris and Soledad come through and have a look. I wanted to keep it subjective to the family and their story.
Yeah.
It's already long enough at 88 minutes, and I didn't want to try to debunk everything with what it could be, what it couldn't be, and have all these other expert, quote unquote, skeptics coming through. It's not that type of movie. It's from the family's perspective, and you believe them or you don't believe them. We did have some other people come through to check things out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But that's where the story lies. It's really subjective to Ashley and the family.
Anyone who walks anywhere near where I am, not even just where I am, they always say they can feel it. That's the number one thing, and I think you'll see that.
Yeah, I think that's so interesting and difficult. Like I'm not sure you're handling it so well. I think I might have a
I
little
think
bit
it's my
of
natural personality. I'm the oldest of my siblings, so
yeah.
I've always had that mentality of being in charge, not letting anything really control me. I do more of the controlling. So I think my natural being of who I am, that's how I'm really getting through it.
It seems like you could have a little bit of a career just going around and visiting people's homes that they think maybe something's going on in there.
Oh yeah, if anything is hiding, I'm gonna see it in most likely real time, and I always call it out, and then things from there will ramp up because some spirits don't like that I do that. It's like some of the spirits are just as surprised that I can see them as vice versa. So
Really?
yeah,
See,
yeah,
that's I think kind of interesting.
yeah,
It's like when they know that you're watching them, they
yeah.
act up.
Yeah, definitely.
And
Well,
they're
they're probably
surprised.
used to watching without anybody knowing.
Yeah, and then I come along. So yeah, it definitely
That would
changes the
shock
dynamic.
you.
Yeah,
Because they wouldn't be
Okay.
dealing with a lot of people who have that gift. So
yeah,
when they come across someone, it's like, oh, she sees us.
yeah.
Well, yeah. Actually, have you ever met anyone else that has that type of ability?
I have. I met. I want. Is it two people? I've met two people in my life. I'm from upstate New York, Albany.
Yeah.
So I think I kind of lost contact once I moved down here 12 years ago. So I'm not, around them as much anymore. But I have met a couple people like me,
Yeah.
definitely. So
Yeah.
that's how I know people are out there. And I think a lot of people that watch the film who maybe are like me are going through the same thing, they'll feel more comfortable, definitely speaking up. That
I think
was
it's
my
going
hope
to
for it.
start some conversations.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Yeah, because to me the really interesting part is how you're doing it, Shannon, with just focusing on the family. Because normally when you watch a movie or a documentary, it's focused on the activity, and you're kind of reversing it, and I think that's going to be really interesting because it kind of explains, like just like I asked you right at the beginning, why don't you leave the house? Get out of there.
Well, yeah,
But
it's not
if
gonna
it
make any
doesn't make a
difference.
difference where you're
Mm-mm.
at, that explains why.
And definitely, it's not a TV paranormal investigative type TV show that we're doing. It's
Yeah.
just not, and that's fine and that's great and people like it. But this isn't about let's camp overnight at a hotel to see what ghosts we can conjure and see what we can capture with this and that. No, it's not that at all.
It's more natural. You're just gonna
It
see what,
happens
what
already
happens. Yeah.
to them.
Yep.
Yeah, to me,
It was
that
all
makes it interesting to me because that's what I
yeah,
want to see. You
everything is
want to
all
see what
peripheral
the
that we
human
thought.
side is.
Human
Yeah.
side, yes.
Yep.
That
That
was the
that
goal.
that is perfectly put. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's really really good. So, any chance that there's a follow up to this one?
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, as Ashley said, there are still things that they're dealing with. As far as another installment is concerned, I mean, who knows? We have told the story, and it ends how it does on a cliffhanger without saying anything. Um, they're still dealing with things. We might not.
A lot of people have reached out to, wanting to know more or just interested in, how it all started and things
Sure.
like that. So you never know.
Yeah, yeah. Well, they got to go back a ways. It started a ways back.
It did. It
Mhm.
did.
Well,
That's
and
the
I
thing with
think it's
documentaries. You can't
interesting that.
plan. You know,
Okay.
it's very unpredictable. So we didn't even know we even had a documentary to begin with.
Yeah.
So like to say if there's going to be another one, I have no idea at this point. I mean,
I guess
you'd
that's
have to
true.
spend
You
another
were there to
7
do
months.
something else,
Yeah,
and
and
it kind of
then we just
became
spent so
this.
much time together, and it became what it wanted to become. And yeah, you'd have to put yourself in the position where
Yeah.
you're kind of spending a lot more time with the family to see what else occurs. But look, I think we've successfully told the family's story so far.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I know. So actually, what kind of response are you getting from other family members, friends that aren't in the house with you?
Some of them, a lot of them, I would say already knew about it, but I think they were surprised that I was, I guess, telling the world maybe.
Right.
Because they knew that there was going to be good and bad that would come with it.
That's right.
The good is that people that are going through it feel more comfortable talking about it. The bad is, especially me having a Baptist background, that maybe I shouldn't be engaging or dabbling. So I have that too. But I would say more good than bad has come. A lot of people have, wanted to just talk or hold conversation because now they feel comfortable talking. So that makes it worth it regardless, basically.
Yeah, I think that's a really good attitude with it. I grew up Baptist as well, so I know all about some of the warnings you have probably
Yeah.
got through your life.
Yep. Definitely.
Well, thank you both for taking a little bit of time. I think the story is so interesting. It's fascinating. It's a little scary. I can't wait to hear more, and I hope that at some point you guys can come back and give us an update and tell us what's
All
you
right,
know what's
sounds good, man.
happening. What's has
Okay.
things get change after the movie came out, or did it stay the same, or or how it went. I'd love to hear about that at some.
Yeah, we can do that.
Of
Yeah,
course,
so
of course.
put it in the book somewhere along the line. Come back and give us
Let's do it.
give
Check
us
in
an
a few
update.
months. Okay.
So okay, so
Thanks
let's.
for having us, Mike.
Yeah, thank you for
I,
having me.
this has been terrific. I can't wait to watch. We're planning to. We're hoping for tomorrow night. It may be Wednesday night, but
Cool.
we're putting the group together as we speak.
Great.
So, a couple things before I let you go. Let's start with you, Ashley. Is there social media, if we're interested in more from your side, that we can check out?
Well, yeah, I definitely have this is all out the blue. So I didn't think it would get the response it did, but since it did, I created a YouTube channel called Spirit Encounters. You can find me on, IMDb, or if you put in Ashley Rowland in Facebook, or just put my whole name in Google, everything will pop up right there. Ashley Roland-White, and you'll be able to see what I'm
Yeah, it
doing
came right
currently.
up for me. It
Yeah,
popped up.
I think that I have a hyphenated last name, and not many people have that. So it's pretty easy. As soon as you put that in, you'll see everything.
Yeah, it pops up. It pops up. Shannon, anything else that you're working on that we can keep an eye out after this document?
Not yet. I wish there was something else. Some things on the horizon in the near future, yes, but nothing out that I can direct you to immediately. But there's docu-series and some other projects I'm working on, finishing some scripts and getting that into production, but nothing immediately. But yes, check out itscomingfilm.com and It's Coming Film, the handles, out November 12th.
I know. That's so far. I can't believe we're almost to the end of the year.
I know. I just
For
said
real.
that. It's Christmas again. It feels like it was just Christmas almost.
real.
Like
I have this theory that 2020 took about 10 years to get through that year, but ever since we've been going like double time. It's like
make up for it.
I'm glad other people notice it's not just me.
it's been
Maybe that's
flying
the
by. Shannon, do you have social media that we can
I don't
kind of
really live
follow
on
you
social
through?
media, but yeah, I mean, I just think just check out the film and
Okay.
use those handles. It's Coming Film.
Yeah,
That's where
it
you
came
can
right
find
up too.
everything.
It's real easy to find.
Yeah.
It's a good website. A lot of good information on there. So definitely everybody wants to check that
Yeah, so
out
just go there, I think. It's pretty
and
best
check.
out.
I'll leave you with
I don't
this.
use social. I don't really use social media though, so
Well, see, you need to get you a person. You got to have a
Yeah,
person that'll
I know
do it
I don't
for
want to
you.
do all that. Make it
that
easy
you
for
do.
me.
That's it. I've got a good friend that he grew up. His family had a house that was built in like the 1840s, and we spent most of our childhood there. The only thing they had done is put electricity in it. Still had the original furniture and stuff in it. So we spent that was a cool house to spend a lot of time with, but it was supposed to be haunted. I can tell you, I grew up in that house. I never saw a thing. I do not believe it was haunted, but it was supposed to be. So they did a one of those paranormal shows did a episode on his house. They didn't find anything, just as I said, but just that airing of that episode, he got for years had people, coming to, wanting to see the property, interested in his story, all that. It really escalated.
You need to move, Ashley,
Wow.
right now.
That's my warning to
Get out of
you.
here.
Be prepared, because that was just a
No.
single episode. It wasn't a movie or a documentary. So I'm sure you're going to have a lot to do in the next few days.
I'm sure.
Well, thank you both, and I hope that at some point
Awesome.
definitely let's talk again.
Definitely.
Yeah, I'm down.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
was great.
Okay,
Thank you.
hold on one second. You're so welcome. Hold on one second. All right, so Shannon Alexander, Ashley Roland-White, and the documentary is called It's Coming, which is a little scary. I think, I've been lucky enough with this podcast to talk to some just amazing people, and I've talked to psychics, people, paranormal investigators, demonologists, and people that have similar experiences or abilities as Ashley does. They either have a haunted location, or they don't really want to say haunted, but they have the ability to interact with the paranormal. So I've encountered and been blessed enough to interact with a lot of those people, I got to tell you, Ashley, to me, comes across very believable. Something is going on there. I'm excited and a little nervous to watch and to find out more. I think that stuff is so interesting, and it's so difficult to explain, which is probably part of the appeal for a lot of people. I know growing up, that always got me. Anything that was unusual or I didn't understand or kind of exciting, I was all about that, and I think a lot of people are like that. So the documentary it's coming, it's out. If you're watching this, it's out. So go and find that. It's out everywhere, and let us know what you think. I'm interested to see. I know it's going to be good. I'm just interested in the specifics of what's going on with Ashley and her family. So we'll find that out. Thank you guys for tuning in with us again this week. So happy that you're here. Definitely don't take you for granted. If you'd like to support us, we would love that, and it's easy to do. It's free. Our YouTube channel is MeisterCon Pod. If you go there, please subscribe. Doesn't cost you anything. Really helps us out. So please subscribe. YouTube, MeisterCon Pod. Our website's meistercon.com. You can find almost 900 episodes, audio and video versions. Also let you know if we're doing something in studio, like watching It's Coming, if we're going on location, if we're covering a convention, anything we have going on will be on the website, meistercon.com. So please check us out there as well. Thank you guys so much. Till next time. Bye, everybody.